Boom, we are live.
Good morning.
What's going on?
Good morning.
Are you excited?
I am. I don't even know why.
I'm super excited too. So look. We had Mr. Buddy. He's like, come on, baby, let's get started. Let's get going.
That's about normal. Open.
Open. So we're going to be talking about, what are we talking about? Protecting our dreams. Who made the cover photo? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think
keeping your dreams alive.
Yes.
All right.
Where did that come from, right? What made us think that was important?
I think we had like a celebrity make a recommendation on the content. That's what I remember.
I think we talked about that on the pop-up this week.
Yes. And who was that celebrity, Jen?
Yes, Alex. So Miss Alex was listening. It was 2 weeks ago. We were getting ready for the live stream. She's like, what are y'all talking about? And I said, we're laying the foundation. And, I was talking to her about what we were going to. She's like, Mom, y'all need to talk about how to not kill other people's dreams. And I was like, Jesse, we probably should think about this.
Yes. I mean, so there's a couple of things there that are like super awesome. One, y'all, I hear I'm in a hotel in Dallas. And so it just feels real echoey in here to me. And so if y'all out there in the omniverse, if it's too funky, I don't know what I can do about it, but let me know if it's like jacked up on your end.
I think it's okay. It's okay on my end.
Okay, good. But two things, one, how amazing is it? And I know like she's your daughter, but how amazing is it that an 11-year-old would take interest? It's awesome that we have all these ballers out there that are joining us and becoming a part of this community. But I'm going to take cool credit, cool points for the fact that Alex, an 11-year-old, would be interested in hearing what we have to say.
True.
Right?
We talked about that, just the value of, we know our tribe and we know the people in our space because it's visible, but we're not taking into account the things we're talking about, the content we're talking about, the topics and stuff. It's relatable everywhere. Yes,
it is transcendent, right? That's a fancy word. I just learned it yesterday. But the things that we're talking about, they're like big, hairy adult things. But they're also, they're just kind of universal. Everybody's, to some degree, dealing with that. And then when you told me, she's like, how do you keep from people killing your dreams? It's like, oh my Lord, if that's not a big question, let's give it a shot. Let's go ahead and tackle that bad.
Let's dig into that. Well, and again, little side note, but we're not going to talk about that today. I think that's in a week or so. But we talked about that with our book, that even though we're talking about heavy things and personal relationships, there's also things that with relationships that, at any age, people have to stop and consider, because we're dealing with humans.
Humans, the most precious resource we have in the world. So if you're a first timer, and also let me add a little clarification. First timer, tell us good morning, tell us where you're coming from, shout out one of your friends, drop a blue heart.
Yes.
So the tribe can support you and follow you and connect with you. Also, first timer, I don't just mean first timer watching. If you've been watching and never commented,
yes,
give us a comment. Let us know you're there. That's the hard part. We know we have a lot of support, but we also know there's a lot of other people out there watching and spending their mornings with us. And I'm super grateful that y'all would commit that time to be here with us. And I know it's the makeup that really brings y'all in, but we'd like to know who you are so we can connect and follow you and support you in your stuff. We got people from Facebook land. We got people from YouTube. LinkedIn is the majority of our folks. So please let us know who you are.
You only you don't have to get super vulnerable. Just tell us where you're coming from. That's it. You just if this is your first time to put anything out there, just tell us where you're coming from.
See, look, we got a newbie. Davis Hambrick says, I've never heard of you two. Davis, I'm glad you're talking smack, because we're going to be talking about you.
Yes.
As it relates to keeping the dream alive. So we'll give a shout out to all the people we got coming in this morning.
We got a lot.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch. Love the comments. Thank you. So Steve Martin says audio check, video check, marketing check, buddy check. Yes, everybody's here. Check.
And Jesse has a shirt on. Yes.
Well,
and Jesse has a shirt on. Check.
I kind of do, but look,
Gosh.
Mr. Will Sullivan coming in from New.
Oh gosh, Will, you can't start him this early. We can't do that.
Oh man, looky here. We got Mr. Justin. He says Thomas LeMay recommended this to him from Charlotte, North Carolina. Man, Justin, thank you, my friend.
Yes. Welcome.
Please, we want your experience. We want your ideas. Throw them in the chat. And you'll be getting a friend request or whatever it's called on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
from me.
Yesenia is already like, welcome, Justin. Like,
yes.
That's about to come after you.
All right, tribe members, let's give Justin some love. Let's see who else we got up here. We got Mr. Jim Gontorius says good morning.
Yes.
Hoots is not spending the 1s and 2s today. He's out at a ball game watching his son, which I think is amazing. We got to talk to him for a little bit this morning, and he popped off. Mr. Jeremy Atkinson.
Good morning.
Good morning, tribe. What up, tribe? Ooh, and Yesenia. So I don't know if anybody saw that.
Yes.
Did you see it, Jen? What do you think about that?
Yesenia is giving us love. So, okay, we have a book that we have the plumber's edition that's already out, but we're like right on the edge of pushing the button for the final English teacher's edition. Final ready to go on Amazon, and we're like right on the edge, but the plumber's edition has been out there, and some of our tribe members have like, we want this one because it's the rough cut that Jesse approved. And so Yesenia got it, and she like posted and showed the picture and just like so much love. So thank you, Yesenia.
And like she totally matched.
She did. She's
Right,
like she's gonna like Steve, you need to get with Yesenia because she's got this whole marketing like branding thing like down.
Yes. Thank you, Yesenia. Love you, sister. Man, we got all kinds of people. I love y'all. Amy, good morning, Amy. What's going on? Steve Martin coming in from Connecticut. James Gable says, good morning. Coming in from Denver. Miss Demetria. Good morning, sister.
Good morning.
I got to hang out with Demetria all day yesterday.
Yes.
It was awesome. She says that you're a therapist, Jennifer. Remember that, Demetria?
Yeah.
I remember that.
I love your new headshot too. Amazing.
Ooh, look at that. I like the yellow.
I know, right?
Mr. Jerry Aliberti. Good morning, sir. How are you? Bruce coming in from the NYC. He's recovered from his dentistry that he had a few weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon saying we do not hear the echo. Sharon with COAB. And I don't know what the letters stand for, but they just released an interview that I had the privilege of hanging out with Anson Green, interviewed me, hit them up. Tons of like really valuable information. They're doing a lot of beautiful work around workforce development and adult education. Really, really useful resource out there. Go to their website. I'll see if Jen gives me some time. I might find a link and throw it up here. Not to the podcast.
Somebody will.
Or Sharon, please dump if you could put a link to your website so people can access that, because just about everybody on here is dealing with workforce out there. So thank you for joining us. Dominic coming in from Canada says good morning from Montreal. Oh, look, we got another new one. Miss Veronica.
She's with Robbins and Morton.
Oh, tell us about her. Let's embarrass her.
No, so Veronica's out of our Tampa office, and she's like she's amazing, and she's like kind of sometimes quiet in the background, but she's like rock star. So like go like her and follow her. And again, thank you, Veronica, for putting this out there this morning. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you, Veronica. Man, that's awesome. Blue Hearts in the house. We got Kirby. She's good morning. First thing she heard was Jesse has a shirt on. Hashtag.
No, not disappointed. You go on Instagram, follow him on Instagram, and you can get all the bear skin you want. But we're trying to keep shirts on for this platform.
I love it. Michael Fina says, "Morning, Jen and Jess from the Boogie Down, Brooklyn." Yep. Shout out from the Union Labor Advisory. So y'all, again, huge. Michael is a huge advocate for the trades. And he's helped me out. I don't know if you heard the last interview we had with Miss Carol Raftery. Michael, he brokered that. He helped hook me up. And so he's going to continue to help identify craft workers out there so that we can interview them and highlight them. And like straight up, I was like, bro, I need help finding women in the trades. Like I'm almost exhausted, all the women that I know. He's like, man, I got you. So Mike, shout out to you and ULA, the Union Labor Advisory. Oh, Miss Suki. I just met Suki on Will got the audio function on LinkedIn. Will Sullivan did. And so he ran a little test, and she and I were here, and a group of us were on there talking. And I'm like, man, she just seemed like a super positive. She speaks like 13 languages. What? Yeah. She's like got it going. I don't know a whole lot about her, but I will be learning. Yes, welcome, and thank you for joining us. Maya, another blue heart, Maya Little.
I know. So I haven't met Maya personally, but I will in the next month or so because I'm gonna get to meet her. And yes, I'm super excited.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing. Shout out to Yesenia from Demetria. All right, one more, and I guess we'll get to it. And we got Miss Amy Campbell. She's out at the job site today. Hamlin Landis is overseeing a utility pole move. Oh, that's a lot of work.
Good morning, Hamlin. Focus on
good
what
morning,
you're
Hamlin.
doing. Watch the rerun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. Amy. Thank you, Amy. Man, she's always got our back. Yep. Coalition of Adult Basic Education. Thank you, sister. And she's also posted a link, coab.org. Again, lots of valuable information that will benefit all of us. Oh, wait, we got another first timer.
No, yeah, well, yeah, there's more. Just keep going.
Oh my goodness, James! Thank you, James. First time he's caught one. Woo-hoo, baby! Heck yeah! Oh my Lord, James Hennigan.
Yes, look at Kelly McClellan. Look what she told you.
Let's go. Holly Totten, Miss Holly, how are you? Good morning. I'll behave myself, Holly. Don't take me to court. That's an inside joke from the mastermind. Kelly McClellan says, holy moly, I have a hookup to 3,000 trade women. I got you, girl. Thank you, Miss Kelly. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much. We're going to make this happen.
Yeah.
And then Ed, your elevator pal, says, let's fire it up, y'all. So we're about to fire it up. Thank you all for again, connect with each other and support each other. I saw Will posted something like Social Saturday. I think that's what it's called. I mean, we do not need to walk through this world alone. Yes. And there are a ton of amazing, beautiful people in the No BS tribe that I'm just going to recommend. Follow all of them and that support each other and help breathe life into each other's dreams.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
You like that? I'm getting good at this thing.
Right on the fly, man.
So Alex asked the question, right? How do you keep people from killing your dreams? And then I think I gave it a different title, Keeping Your Dreams Alive. And I think you and I have for me, I'll speak for me, where we're at with the 5S in relationships, the No BS tribe, and other things is 100% a dream. And so there's some key points that I want to communicate. And of course, I'm going to tie it to some crazy story or experience that I had personally. But I think it's really important for folks, and I'm wondering what the No BS tribe thinks is that an important topic? Like, is this something that you've ever asked yourself? Or more importantly, how many dreams, ideas do you have held hostage in your heart and in your mind? And hopefully today, what we talk about, whatever comes out, because I don't know what's going to come out yet, will help you start releasing them dreams and ideas. Is that like too crazy an aspiration?
No, I think that's awesome. And I think that's going to start and snowball into some other really good questions. So no.
Yes. So where shall we start?
I think you need to tell a story because you always tell stories I think that's a good start always. And then depending on how PG they are or whatever, then I can take it and go from there.
Hey, look, this thing got a zipper, so watch out.
Oh my God.
When the chat starts dropping, so does the zipper.
Put a banner up there. Put a banner.
Okay, I'm gonna get started, but I do got to give a shout out to my brother Jim Bob the Builder Olmsted. What's up, Big Jim? Haven't heard from you in a minute, man. I hope you're doing magnificently. We did get to interview him out there. And look, Bruce agrees. This may be one of the most important discussions you can have.
Well,
awesome.
Good and bad, like you and I, and again, you're going to tell a story. I'm going to let you have it, but like the good and bad, it's the how do we not have them held hostage, but also how do we use the people around us to help us continue to feed into them?
That is definitely one of the cheat codes, right? So as it comes to story time, I think about when I was really thinking deeply, because Alex, she's amazing. Alex, if you're watching, you're amazing. You're an inspiration to me. The first thing that comes to mind is I have to let that idea or that dream, I've got to release it out of my mind. And I have a process because I'm a weirdo that way. And my process, it's kind of the first step is writing it down. I have a lot of journals. I've been journaling for a long time. It's only recently I got into a journaling habit, a daily journaling habit. But previously I would journal a bunch, and I got a bunch of binders all over the place with all the stuff that I've written down. And it got to a point where I'm like, I would kind of be hesitant about writing down an idea or an aspiration in my journal. And the reason I hesitated was because there's a high frequency of those things actually coming into life, like becoming a real thing, which is not bad. But the reality, and Davis is living this right now, Davis, I have a dream, I have an idea, it starts coming to life. And man, them dreams and ideas, there's work behind them. There's a lot of work to be done to keep that bad boy alive. And so, again, the first thing for me is I got to get it out of my head. And I usually write it down first. And then once I writing it down really helps me think about how to say it and how to share it, how to articulate it. And then the next step is to say it out loud to other people. And that's like a super, super scary step because most of the time I'll say this, the majority of the people think I'm crazy because that idea it's out there, right? Like, what are you talking about? So the story is the book. Well, more specifically, the live streams that we had on 5S and relationships. Like I've had those letters for over 4 years. I think it's 4 years now. And I knew they were important. I knew they were meaningful. And I shared them with a bunch of people like, hey man, check this out. And to get there, I'm like, I want to do something with this. And some people were like, man, who cares? That doesn't even make sense. Like, okay, you're right. Is that a new lean thing? I'm like, it's not a new lean thing. It's an idea. And some people were like, oh my God, that's important. Like that could help me with my relationship. So what I did was continue exposing that idea into the world, into the universe, and collecting data, right? Like, is it meaningful to people, or how should I frame it so that it can have more meaning, so I can help introduce people to the idea? And that took place over 3.5 years. And I knew I needed to do something with it, but I didn't know exactly what, right? Like, do I just post it on the website? Do I just take a picture? I was like, no, it's bigger than that. But it was the articulating, the sharing it with other people that led to what it has become. And that's not the only thing. That's just the biggest kind of most relevant thing right now, where I get an idea. And so now I'm going to pick on Davis a little bit. Should I pick on Davis?
Yes.
So Davis, and this is the beautiful thing, right? So I think I'm seeing this is how I make dreams come to life. But that's just me in Jesse land, right? And so Davis had an idea. Davis Hambrick with Lane Foundations podcast had an idea of this lean symposium that he shared with me months and months ago. I said, man, that sounds cool. Let's do something. Then he had an idea, let's have a dinner in I don't know if we were South or North Carolina. and let's all get together. So we all went, we all had dinner, and he shared his idea with the group. And that thing is taking off. We're going to be having this panel discussion at Clemson University next month, or September
9th.
Yep, September 9th. And then we're going to be having a follow-up conversation at College Station, Texas A&M, right? Like
in the spring.
Little small places, nothing really big and spectacular. I'm like, this is huge.
It is. And it's about the next generation of builders. Like, that's the kind of important, right?
It's pretty darn important. But so what did he do? Like, what was the process that I could see that he was doing that I could like tease out of the way I was doing things? One, he had an idea. He shared it. The other thing I haven't talked about yet is he invited people in and had the security, the confidence to allow people to breathe into that idea. What do you know about that, Jen? Because you were there. You're guilty also.
I did. I got, so there's a couple things I want to hit, and one of them I may have to push till later in this conversation just because I don't want to derail this one. But I think what I felt when all those conversations were going on, because I was getting invited to the conversations, is one, what Davis and Walker have been able to do just with their conversations and their platform and how they are highlighting people, focusing on people, elevating people. Like that's what they do. Like they care so much about others and how they can then elevate them and be able to shine a light on them, which is just, where my heart is. So that makes me happy. But two, as these conversations were going, it was just, I have an idea, and we've all been in that space at work where like, this is my idea and I own it and I get credit. And I like that. We live in that space where it's like, hey, whoa, don't try to, say that it was your idea, or, hey, like I was the first one that said it, or I'm the first one that hashtagged it, or whatever it is. But like we live in that space. And what I'm seeing right now, and this is a prime example, that like Davis threw it out there and he was just like, what can we do? How can we do this? And I need you, and I need you, and I need you. Let's come in, and what are your thoughts? And what's the pie in the sky? What are the good, the bad? What are the roadblocks? Like every possible thing in this conversation. And let's say that some of us met for the first time at that dinner in person.
Yes.
And it was just like brainstorming ideas and this and that. What about this? What about this? And it just, it was amazing, but it wasn't like, oh, this was fun. Okay, now we'll see y'all later. It was like, what's the actions? What's the next steps? Who's taking ownership? When's our next call? Let's make sure that's on the calendar. And okay, I'm going to reach out to this person. So like, there were so many parts to that, on just the ownership, the action, the sharing of ideas, the willingness to listen, which to me was I think the biggest piece. Is there was an idea, throw it out there, and then the willingness to listen to the people around you that you've surrounded yourself with, to be able to go, okay, what's next?
Yes. Yeah. I've got Miss Amy shared a beautiful comment that I've got to bring up onto the screen, because I know she's not alone here. And so her comment is, I think it is an important topic. Dreams are something that I struggle with between my childhood history and spending most of my adult life in survival mode. There hadn't been much bandwidth for dreaming. It's an area I've been able to explore recently, and it's scary and necessary. Yes, ma'am. I've been practicing with telling people around me that I trust with my ideas and dreams. Right. So two big things that I'm getting from this is, we have, many of us, really, I don't know anybody that hasn't experienced some trauma. And that conditions us to think a certain way. And again, for me, it conditioned me to think a certain way. And that was, Jesse, your head's in the clouds all the time. When are you going to relax? When are you going to settle down? When is enough enough? And it was like, that was years, decades of that sort of thing. And coupled with trauma coming up and whatever. But what it ends up doing is I get in this state of like, yeah, you know what? I need to conform. I need to settle down. I need to not be crazy. And like, I've tried. It doesn't work. Right. I suggest if you do this, you'll settle down. I did it, but it didn't settle down. If you do this, when this happens, when you get old, I'm just getting worse. And so there are those things. And so maybe that's a question for the tribe. Like, what are some mental models, some thinking that you have, some conditioning that you've experienced that keeps you sitting on the bench? And the reason I'm asking this is because right now we have proof that you're not alone, right? Amy was courageous and said, I have this thing and it's hard because X. And so the purpose of you sharing this is so that, one, other people out there know that they're not alone, and you know that you're not alone. The other part that she mentions is practice. She's practicing with telling people around her that she trusts. Mm-hmm. That, like, again, if you don't let it out, it's going to die with you. It is not going to go anywhere. Jen, how many ideas do you have locked up in that bright, shining brain of yours?
There's a lot, and it's a lot for me. So I know in my mind, based on just conversations, and you said it, that you're a lot. You're like, you gotta tone it down. Like and again, that I've heard that for so long that it can kind of dictate how you show up, or it can stop you and make you have to go, okay, well, should I or shouldn't I? And so I want to give a shout out, probably not the first one today, but so I was at SMPS Amplify National Conference earlier this week. And Danielle Gray, I don't even think she's a follower, but hopefully y'all can like jump on her and tell her she's getting a shout out on this, and we'll get her in the tribe. So Danielle Gray was one of the keynotes, she did an opening session, and she was speaking, and I follow her because she put some great content out there, but she also shows up, and she was up there talking about her journey and how, she did it for a while, and then now she is showing up. And she highlighted something that in my mind, I never thought about. And it hit so much to what you just said. Is she says, when we're trying to figure out how do we show up, there's a lot of times where we either inflate things because we want to make sure we're showing up big and bad, and hey, I'm qualified, and I am validating myself, and I'm worthy of being in this room. And so I feel like I have to prove something. And she used credentials and she used like some examples, which was amazing. She goes, but there's times where we feel like we have to inflate to be valuable in that conversation or in that space. She goes, but there's also times, and she used a balloon as an example. When you inflate a balloon so much, what happens? It explodes. She goes, but also in the same scenario, we deflate our value. So we let the balloon sit there, and we maybe put a little air in it, or we don't put any, because we're like, we don't want to show up too much. And that's what was my point, is we don't want to show up and be too much for someone to handle, or so much that people are just like, oh, that's a lot, I can't deal with that, whatever. And so we live in this space while we're trying to figure out what are we doing, and what do we need to do, and what do we need to bring, what value can we bring, what ideas can we share. And what I got from it is, yes, we kind of fluctuate up and down and do those things and inflate and deflate. But in the space that we're providing here with the people that are just putting stuff in the comments, and the people that you and I have surrounded ourselves with, is that I don't feel that I'm in this roller coaster place. I feel that anything I bring out and share, it's because it's valuable and people care about me and they care about what's inside of me. And it could be a stupid idea. And you know what? I'm not scared to share it, because you'll go, well, yeah, Jen, this and this, or, like you'll kind of like talk me through it. And I'm like, oh gosh, I don't even need to give that any more time or effort. But there's also where I'm like, I have this idea, and you're like, okay, yeah, but what about this and this? And then you like make it be way bigger than what it was in my head. So like by putting it out there and trusting the people around me, it completely changes the dynamic of my dreams and the things that I want to do, or even I think I could do. So
I love it. And so follow-up question. This one's coming from James. He just texted me.
Okay.
James, I'm throwing you under the bus. So James says perfectionism keeps him on the bench. He's a recovering perfectionist. He's come a long way and still has a ways to go. And like, let's get some likes and hearts and stuff for that.
Yes.
And so James told me to ask you,
of course,
how much
while he was on the river.
Can you describe your path in terms of getting or releasing the perfectionism? Do you have a particular story to share about how you've become more relaxed in the live streaming from when we started to now? That's James. Thank you for the question, James.
Yes. So that's funny. So we were preparing, and I tucked on this a little bit on the pop-up. So we were about to do the pop-up for this live stream. And we were going to get on and just kind of, do our little commercial that Demetria told us we needed to do to let people know what we were talking about. And so I was talking to Alex, and we were inviting her on because she's the one that came up with the idea. We wanted to give her credit. We wanted to get her on there and let her talk about why she thought that was important. And she's like, well, Mom, what do I need to say? I'm like, well, just this is what you said to me. So just follow up and just kind of, you can talk about this. I know, but what do I need to say? And I said, okay, well, you told me this, and I'm going to ask you some questions. And she goes, well, do I need to write it down? I'm like, no, you don't need to write it down. We're going to talk. And she's like, I know, but like, what do you want? I'm like, Alex, Jesse and I just kind of feed off each other. Like, I'll ask him a question based on the conversation. He'll ask me a question, and then we'll just kind of feed off each other. And she's just looking at me, and she's like, I know, Mom, but like, what am I supposed to say? And in my mind, the whole time we're talking, I was like, holy crap, that's exactly how Jesse and I were when we started this freaking platform. Is I'm like, every time I'm like, Jesse, what's the plan? What's the agenda? What are we gonna, like, what is our plan to talk about? Like, okay, I know, but it's like an hour and 15 minutes. Like, okay, the first 15 minutes, what do we need to do? Okay, then in the middle, we're going to talk about this. And then we're going to, like, that was like the first couple, I'm sure, and Jesse, bless your heart. Like, you like just were right there with me, and you allowed me to like, okay, I feel good. Like, I need to show up. And we did that through 5S, but we had a little bit of a structure. And then we were going to kick off No BS. And I'm like, okay, no, but it's like now we don't even have content. Like, at least we had the content with the 5S. And I was like, I know, but like, what's the plan? And how are we going to break it up? And literally now it's like, what's the topic? We put it out there, and we jump on this platform like 30 minutes before we start. And I'm like, okay, Jesse, what are we talking about? Okay, you got something, I got something. Okay, we're good. And that's what we do. And I'm like, the transition of just doing these with you and being able to, the tribe feeds into us during the week and on Saturday mornings, that now I'm just like, I'm just going to show up. We'll figure it out. And that transition has been huge because it has also helped me in my daily work and how I'm showing up and talking to people and not feeling like James, which I've been there. It's like, what's the plan? What's the agenda? Whatever. And now I'm like, we'll figure it out. It'll be okay.
Yes. Look, we got Sean Smith. What's up, Sean? Man, it's another guy I got to hang out with yesterday all day long.
Yes.
So we got to give a shout out to NAMAC, right? Is it DFW?
Yes.
NAMAC?
Yes, NAMAC DFW. And that's another, like, I was going to call Demetria out, but we're going to do that. We'll give a shout out to her in a minute on just that dream and what that is and stuff.
Oh,
and just,
my God.
Demetria, feed into, like, share with, like, where that dream, that whole entity, that organization here locally, which Jesse got to go and facilitate our annual board retreat yesterday, like, that was in her head. And it just came into this amazing, magnificent thing that is trying to help minority contractors grow and small businesses and just everything that we're doing to support people in the construction industry. Like, it started with an idea in her head.
Yes. And she let it out. And man, did she let it out. So, Jen, thank you for sharing that story because I've been able to, like, see it, right? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about because I've been living that. And it's like a special privilege. Kirby and I've talked about this. Somebody asked this question. I think I've heard it on a podcast. It's like one of their standard questions, like, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, man, I don't even know the answer to that question. I kept thinking. I was like, I know what I like. For me, the most funnest thing is to be present with people having that terrifying first time experience. And so
right before you push them off the cliff, I got you. Yeah.
To me, I believe I'm escorting people through self-discovery. Mm-hmm. What people feel is I'm kicking them off the cliff into self-discovery. but it's a precious moment for me, and they seem to be continuing to grow. And I'll add this so people can maybe anchor on it. Is like the more that I share and live in my dream, the more people I get to hang around with that are doing the same thing or are beginning. Like it's just kind of happening that way, which is amazing, right? And then, like you said earlier, we'd start talking about ideas and they just explode into this big giant thing. Davis and I, we got a call later on today to do some brainstorming because his idea is exploding into this really big, beautiful thing. And so we'll go one more comment on the perfectionism. And so Davis shares, right, for him, perfectionism comes from insecurity. And when he shares and gives up the control, he's caring more about others than himself. Cheat code. I think we all have different kryptonite, right? That's affecting us and keeps us kind of stuck where we're at. Some of us it's just more comfortable. And Bruce dropping bombs, right? When we're children, we know what we love, and we are focused and fixated on our dreams. As we become socially conditioned, I notice those loves and dreams slipping away, and you often have to fight to be able to maintain those loves and dreams. 100%. And so the word that stands out to me in that is fight. And I don't mean that like as an inaccurate sentiment. I mean like, hell yeah, you're right. 100% right. And so part of the thing is when I have a dream or an idea, and maybe like for folks that are struggling with this dream word because it feels too lovey-dovey, when you're leading change, right? That's an idea. That is something that does not exist, kind of like a dream, that you're releasing, deploying into the world. It's going to affect a ton of people. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of parallels there between change management, leading change, and dreams. No, I'm just going to say that. It is a fight, right? And so for me, I know that I am going to be facing tremendous friction in releasing my idea, my dream, or leading change. And I've got to be prepared for that. And the fight is really with me. You know, I'm a marathon runner. And I've had a really good time. I'm working on a new one for December. But the most impactful race I ever ran was in San Antonio. And like, I don't even remember what my time was. It was over 6 hours, which is horrible, right? Like the bus that picks up people passed me, like that picks up people that are hurt. And like the last right to the finish line, they passed me. But what was most significant about that experience is as I was coming back, because you go down from downtown San Antonio about 18 miles south and turn around and come back. At around that 18-mile mark, I'm 3 miles away from my house. And I'm beat. Like I'm sore. I'm cramping up, dehydrated, toenails popping, like just miserable. And every step I took, I was closer to my house. The finish line was 6 miles away. And so every single step was a battle of, I want to quit. No, you're not. You can't quit. I want to quit. No, you can't quit. Like it was that in my head the whole time. And it was in my neighborhood that my dad grew up in, south side of San Antonio. And I don't know why, but this stuff started coming in like, you can't quit because your family fought. Your family has sacrificed. Your mom has fought. Your mom has sacrificed. All I'm experiencing right now is a little bit of discomfort. And the battle was with me. The battle was, am I going to quit? Am I going to go? Because I ain't dying. So it's a decision of whether I'm prepared to make a small sacrifice in comparison to what my family and my heritage has made. A small sacrifice to put up with inconvenience and to put up with not feeling great and to put up, like, all I had to do was not give up for just a little bit, one more step. times a lot. And I made it, right? Like I crossed the finish line. Time was horrible, but that's my most proud because again, every step I took, I was closer to home. I could have just a block away. At one point, I was like a block and a half away from my house. I could have gone and kicked my feet up and drank water and relaxed. And I didn't. And that was so, so, so huge. And so back to releasing our dreams out into the world, leading change, etc. You got to have that stamina, right? The mental toughness, commitment. I'm not sure what the proper words would be, but it's going to feel unfair. I know I'm going to be alone in this crazy idea. I know people are going to roll their eyes. I know I'm going to get rejection. And I got to keep going. Like, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, right? People are going to laugh. People are going to roll their eyes. People are going to say things. People are going to be like, and here's another thing. Nobody is going to be as excited or interested in your damn idea as you are. Like straight up. I used to get so frustrated and disappointed. They don't care. You know why? Because I don't really care about their dreams either. Like I got you back here. I ain't going to go and run your dream to the ground. It's your dream. So same thing for me. And so those are some guidelines, if you will, that I use when I have an idea because I have a lot of ideas. And the first question is like, am I really prepared to put that much time and effort, that much of my heart and energy into making that thing come to life? A lot of times that's a very easy question for me to say, you know what, that's a good idea, but I ain't going to do it. And put that one in the filing cabinet. You got something, Jen?
I do. I want to ask you a question, but I want to give you a break because I want to what you just talked about from your perspective is important. But I think what you also hit was when you were running that race and you were in the back and people were passing, anybody observing all of that from their perspective is like, why is this hoodlum even trying? Why is he still going? Like, why is he not jumping on the bus? Why is he like anybody that observes us from the outside? We cannot know everything going on in everyone's head. We just can't. And so when we see somebody trying something, I mean, when people, and I'm going to try to parallel this, there may be people that are having that same thought, just one more step, because there's sacrifice and there's people that have worked so hard to get me here that I need to keep going. And that's what you used for your marathon. But there's people that have to do that to go to work.
Yes.
Like to get up and like get dressed and whatever it takes for them to be able to, for us, walk through the gate, like whether it's public transportation, whether it's a bike, whether it's walking, whether it's somebody picking them up because they don't have a car, whether it's where they're living and where they're coming from and the drive to get there. Like there are people that have to make that decision. Like, is it worth it? Is it worth me getting up, going through all this effort to show up? And then, oh, by the way, they got this job they got to do all day. And they got all that hitting them. And then they get done. And then, okay, it's time to go home. Oh, now got to get home. Oh, yeah, and I got to do this all over again tomorrow. Like there are people that is like their life. That is how they show up. And we're using, dreams as this is a, marathon or this idea. But like sometimes just daily life, that's what people are dealing with. And I don't think a lot of us think about that. We think about it as like a dream, but yeah, you got your work, you got your family, and then you got this dream or you got this idea or this goal that you're trying to get to. But that's like outside of like your normal stuff. And it's not like that for everybody.
No.
And I know for you, super important. Like how are we valuing, our trades and how are we really feeding into them? And I know that's a passion of yours. And that plays into the conversations we're having right now.
Yes.
And so can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. There's a couple comments that I want to bring up.
Yeah.
But yes, I will come back to that.
Okay.
So Pete, I got to hang out with Pete. Y'all gotta follow Pete. He's gonna have a podcast episode coming out this week. So Pete says, so true. You have to make sacrifices to make your dreams come true. Stepping stones, one step at a time. Clear your mind and think of what that end result is going to be and push to get it, right? Like solid advice. And then our buddy, where did he go? I lost him. who has been posting like super cool stuff of his lean journey and the impact he's having within his organization. James Hannigan's clarity is something I have been pursuing past many months. Clarity of my path, needed training in my professional, personal, and dream lives. Amazing. Thank you for that, Mr. James.
Yes.
And so as it relates to the question of, you know, we all have different life circumstances. This is how I understood it. We all have different life circumstances, and often the chips feel, maybe not even feel, like when you're in it, the chips are stacked against you. Like there's so much, and Bruce dropped this in the comments. There's so much energy pushing towards conformity. The chips are stacked against us. But clarity helps us understand, or helps me, like it's clear to me that this has to happen. I can't sleep. I can't stop thinking about it. I can't help but see like every time that idea would have helped make somebody else's day better, and it's not out there because I'm sitting on it, burns me up like God, I got to do this thing. And so, yeah, there was a time where I was riding my bike, and so here's an important thing. This is not accusatory. Many times those chips, for me, the chips that were stacked against me, I piled most of them up. So there was a time where my driver's license had been revoked because of the choices I made and another damn arrest. I had to maintain my job, right? Because I had to pay for all this stuff, you know, lawyer and all that other stuff. And my job required me to travel in San Antonio. And so I'd ride my bike. I had to get up at 3:45 to be at the bus stop. So it was a combo, right? I did. And it was cool because the bus had these bike holster things. I'd ride my bike so I can get there early, get on the bus. And, you know, the bus is like an hour and a half, 2 hour. It depends on what part of town I was going to. And sometimes I was visiting 2 or 3 projects. So I had to be like really manage my time, jump off the bus, you go as fast as I can on my bike, catch the next bus, get to the job site. And that was that was the easy part. The hard part was I knew when I was rolling up on the job, I'm the superintendent and I'm on my bicycle, right? Like the shame or embarrassment that came with that was a real thing that I had to work through. But I had to do it to continue moving forward, right? All of those experiences are what helped me or shaped the way I function now. That was difficult. It was embarrassing. It was self-imposed. It was all of the stuff. The time, like my time, leaving the house at 3:45, getting home at 6 or 7. I didn't have a lot of time to be creative and create content or any of that. I was just trying to stay out of prison and keep my job. That's all I was doing. But those things were still there. Now, what I had to do was change the way I lived so that I wouldn't be in those circumstances. And so like the huge takeaway for me at that point was I can create the conditions that I live in. Like, yes, we are conditioned. There's this big way of thinking of follow the rules, spell all the words right, get all your grammar right? There's all those things out there. But I don't have to live necessarily by all of those rules. And I thought I did for a long time. And sometimes the rules are broken. I'm not saying laws, right? That's a whole different thing. But what I had to do was get comfortable. Like, okay, the rule of this thing, I have some influence over it. I can change the conditions of my life so that I have more capacity and I can focus on these things that are burning up inside of me. And so back to the trade workers, our craft workers, the people out there that, you know, hell, my mom, that was one of the things in the marathon is like, my mom never got her nails done. My mom never had brunch and mimosas. My mom never took vacation. Like for us, a celebration was we'd go out to eat at the fancy place. It was either Luby's or Little Red Barn. And that happened when mom got her income tax check, right? Like it wasn't a glamorous upbringing, but mom was able to sacrifice and create a situation to where she could thrive, and to a degree, maybe not to her dreams, but to a certain degree. But she definitely created the conditions for me and my brothers to grow and thrive. And so we have that within us. And it's a matter of taking steps, assessing, right? Do a personal inventory of how am I making things hard for me first? And let me stop doing that. And once I stop doing that, now I can start creating the conditions so that I can do a little bit more. So I can step into those curiosities just another inch or two. And it's that momentum where the dreams start exploding. Did I miss? How did they get?
No, you did. Well, and again, we have a very similar background, and I think it helps connect us too, is our, being raised by a single parent. And I have 3 brothers. And so you and I talk a lot about like the sacrifice and the things we didn't have and the things that were just normal. And, my dad was a teacher. And so, and working 2 side jobs also to be able to support 4 kids. And I just remember, back then, like they got paid once a month. And that one day that he got paid, we got to go out to eat, we got to go and have a meal out. And like now, I mean, it's just like your brain can't even wrap around that now. But I remember like that was the big deal. And then the rest of the month was just trying to make it work. And so like those are sacrifices that we made, and they bleed into, where we are now and the choices we make. And some people can go to the opposite side of that and go, I did without so much. I'm going to give my kids everything, and again, I know I'm where I'm at because of that. And so do I want my kids to not be where I'm at because I made different choices and I made it easier on them? I'm not saying I'm not trying to make some things easier, but I also know that as parents, you have to make those choices on, they still need to be able to, struggle a little bit, and they got to fail a little bit. And that's our job, is to help them understand that, because that's then going to build the character of the person that they're going to become, to be able to, their dreams and their goals, their ambitions, the things they want to do, but also like be able to step back and go, there's got to be sacrifice. There's got to be things like that, because that's what makes us. And so again, that's a daily thing for me, just because, I have 2 girls, and I think for me, that is the biggest thing now, is just what was that shaped me. And then also, how am I then, balancing the being able to provide, but also making sure that they're still having to think through the things that is building the foundation of who they're going to be as adults.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm gonna go to the comments, because it's getting deep. We need a little breather. This is my cheat code. Like, okay, it's getting emotional. Go to the comments. We got all kinds of love out there. Thomas LeMay says self-efficacy is an individual's belief in their capacity to act in the ways necessary to reach specific goals. More often, our own internal conversation is the most toxic one. 100%. Yeah, I'm the most abusive person to me in my life, like straight up, all the time, every time. We got Yesenia. Hold on. Yeah, Yesenia says, I like this. Having a plan is great, but not having a plan is also okay. Thank you. I've been trying to.
Oh gosh.
James Bouton says, maintain that childlike desire and dreams. Yes, that's what we're doing. Sean says, never give up. Let's see, who else we got here? Oh, Yesenia again. I'm totally resonating with you, Jesse. I just brought her up because she's,
of course she did, because you saw your name.
Those experiences is what helps our fire stay lit and go after things hard. Mm-hmm. And Yesenia shared some pretty intimate stuff with us on a live stream that she did with us. So you go check that out, right? I can't remember which one it was. Mm-hmm. She got up there and got super vulnerable in with her life experience and what drives her. And Maria, like, we got to eat some super delicious cake together here in San Antonio. So Maria, again, thank you. That was super awesome. And she says, yes, there is still struggle when you can't meet basic needs. It's just a different threshold.
It is. So I want to give you a shout out real quick, Jesse, before you move on, because I think this is a good segue into when we talk about other people, we talk about where they are and what their sacrifices are, and, how are we showing up, and you getting to the job site and, having to lead a team, and put your bike over here on the rack and things like that. When we think through that, yesterday, again, I'm going to give you a shout out. You helped facilitate a very, a lot of healthy conflict, a lot of, passion conversation. You helped facilitate a lot of good conversations. And what I loved about how you kicked it off is, again, the group of people that kind of knew each other, had been in the same space, and I kind of know what's important, to the other people that have been around me, because I've been in their space for a while. You kicked it off with, okay, give us your name, whatever, and what's something you want to know about someone else in the room. And I just thought it was, again, I've never opened up a meeting like that, or a board retreat or anything like that. And what came from those conversations, and Sean and Demetria, and they're over there, and I see them, and they were in the room. So any feedback y'all want to give, please add it in there. But what it turned into a lot was like, what is your why? And what is the reason you're here? And why is this important to you? And why do you get up in the morning? And I think it's so key to the stuff you're talking about, the stuff we're talking about, and even the comments over there, is like, understanding someone else's why is huge. But how often do we like go to that point of understanding why are they here? And I just, again, it was amazing. And I'm sure you were like, I'm sure in your mind you allowed like 15 minutes for introductions, 30. And it was, or 30 minutes. And it was like an hour and a half later, because every time somebody talked and shared their why, then there were comments, and it just fed into what we were building in that room, and the relationships and the connections, and how other people were resonating. But it was a question that, again, I hadn't thought about it, but what you saw in there, and how people were just really starting to understand other people. And we got lots of vulnerability, lots of like psychological safety, being able to know that the people in the room care about you. But I just thought that was magical. And again, why do we not do that? Why do we not try to understand other people's why, or at least ask them? Because that could then help you understand why they do some of the things they do.
Yes. I'll say, like, there's a direct line, and you're touching on this, so I want to make sure we pull it out. Mm-hmm. There's a direct line between my sobriety and this isn't like a promotion for sobriety. Hang with me for a second. There's a direct line from just over 6 years ago, when I had a pretty meaningful experience, and how I changed the way I live. And it was in early sobriety, but I had a counselor tell me, you can't continue to live life this way. Like, you have to change the way you live. My problems were because of the way I lived. And so it's like, okay, what are we talking about? He didn't say because you're drinking or using or chasing women. Like, it wasn't because of that. It was because of the way I'm living. And so the way I was living was isolated. Like, I'm a social guy, right? I mean, look at this. Everybody wants to be around this. So I know a lot of people, a lot of people. I'm really good at attracting attention. But all of those people don't know me. None of them know me. And that was the thing. I had this perfectly designed camouflage that made people think like we were close, but they weren't. They were out here like, oh, you just stay right over there. You can't cross that line. And it wasn't until I started sharing myself more that this dream thing, this big, beautiful life that I'm experiencing right now, that started happening when I started letting people in. And that's the reason, or the thinking behind that type of question. Because think of how many meetings we've all been in, and how do they start? And what's the nature of the conversation? How many hours? I just think of all the people that I've worked with, hours upon hours that I've spent with them, and I don't know anything about them. And I'm at fault, right? So that was the idea, is let's get to know something about somebody else. And it wasn't the introduce yourself and tell us something interesting about you. Mm-hmm. It was introduce yourself and ask somebody else in the room what you want to know about them. Mm-hmm. Totally different thing. Point is, I believe, and you've touched on it earlier, is surrounding yourself with people, with a group, with a tribe can help create the conditions. It's an additive element to perfect conditions for building dreams and releasing dreams out into the world. In order to do that, you got to get vulnerable. You got to invite people in. You got to let them get closer. And I'm going to say closer because that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm not just letting you in. You get a little bit closer, but you ain't going past that door. Because I'm still, like Amy said, I'm still practicing. I'm still trying to learn how to let that happen. And it's through the appreciation of others. Now, like this dream thing, it's bugging me, so I got to say it. So this dream thing is, and I've said it a bunch of times, is like this promise, right? And the other thing that I had in with my counselor when I was in rehab, he's like, the words he said is, you're never going to become the promise you are intended to be. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like some real woo-woo stuff. But at the same time, like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And so here is something, like when I was failing or falling apart, wanting to quit on the marathon run, this is what went through my head. Is my mom sacrificed her whole social life, her whole career aspiration, her physical well-being, her emotional state. Because she was not in a good situation. She sacrificed all of that for me. And she did it because when she held me in her arms, she saw promise in me. She saw a dream that I have to become. And so in terms of clarity, like, and drive and purpose, that's why. That's what I have to do. And the most rewarding. And so there's this kind of thing like, you don't want to get too big and don't brag about yourself and da-da-da-da. And you touched on it also. The more I do that, it feels like I'm inspiring other people to do the same. So that's also why. Like, but it's terrifying and it's scary. But if I don't do it, I'm miserable. And so it's like this beautiful cycle of, I'm doing it for me to survive, but I'm also doing it for everybody. And how do we do that? So that's why I spent a lot of time in this area. And Yesenia can see my mascara run in here. She says mascara alert. I'm going to just say this, like, everybody here, everybody that's watching this is that promise. And those dreams and ideas and drive for change that you have, you got to let it out, because that's the promise you're intended to be. We're all a little frustrated and disappointed with the way life is right now. And here's the secret. We 100% absolutely can do something about it. What we've been doing may not be working. So maybe let's try something different. And maybe let's share that idea. Let's share that dream. Let's put it out there into the world, build our network, and have those people breathe life into it and become this beautiful, enormous thing that nobody can even imagine right now. What do you think, Jen?
Well, yes. So again, you and I speak to a lot of the same things. So you're talking about your mom and talking about the sacrifices. And all I can think about is my dad. I was 9. My little brother was 4 when he became a single father and was raising 4 kids and a teacher. And just, again, everything was sacrifice. And when my youngest brother graduated from high school, so 4, 18, and I was in college, and my dad started dating. And the significance of this is I struggled with, like, what is going on here? And I was having to work through some stuff. And what I didn't realize is for 14 years, he didn't. For 14 years, the only thing he focused on were us. Like, And so I was like, well, why am I struggling with this? And it like you're talking and like I'm like hold it in, Jennifer, hold it in, because it's like the sacrifice of what he did, and that was a choice he made, because he in his mind, like his job was to get us where we needed to be, but like that drives me every day. Is that was his choice and that's what he did, but also like what was important to him, and he let nothing else derail that. Whether it's working 3 jobs, getting up early, coming home late, figuring out how the tribe around him was helping him raise his kids. He didn't feel like less than something. He rose to the occasion, and he fed everything into us. And like, whether it's a different decision or different choice that I'm making, that drive and that what was important to him and how he never let that falter is what drives me every day. And it goes back to, most people don't even know that background. Most people don't know when I show up, how I show up and why I show up and why I feed into everybody that I can, every interaction, every room I'm in. I'm just trying to feed into them to help them be able to reach whatever they want to be, because that's what I got every day growing up and didn't even know it.
Yep. Yes. We have monumental heroes all around us, and understanding their why, like Sean says, the why of others sometimes cross the line of our lives once we hear it. We are all in the same boat, right? We are more alike than we are different. So we got 9 minutes. Mm-hmm. I just posted the link to the Clubhouse after party. So yes, at 9:20, once we sign off here, we'll be on Clubhouse. Please join us. Yes. So we can talk some more, and hopefully y'all will do most of the talking.
Yeah, y'all get to talk in that. We get to listen more and just kind of facilitate.
Yeah. But I think, what do you think about kind of recapping some of the elements to protect and keeping your dreams alive? And I'm going to cheat and use the tribe. So Maria Martin says, finding your right tribe, curate your tribe.
I just feel like that. I mean, again, you said, number 2, putting it out there.
Yeah.
Being willing to put it out there to see what happens.
Sean says, never give up. 10-4 on that one. Don't. It may change. You may divert the path. It might look a little different, but don't give up on it. Get the idea out, right? If you're going to take baby steps, get it out of your head, write it down. After you write it down, share it with somebody, source it out, let people kick it around and test your steel. Like, can you put up with the critiques and the judgment and the naysayers? Like, you got to build that skin too. Mm-hmm. You got to have the stamina. Like, again, I'm going back to Davis. He has started a movement. Like, the world doesn't know it yet, but it's coming, baby. It's coming. And the amount of work that he is doing right now, I'm sure, like, you don't know until you start it. So that's the other point. Idea, let it out, share it, and take action. Like, and by action, it's as simple as setting up a follow-up meeting to continue the conversation. It doesn't have to be a fully drawn out agenda and a contingency plan and a backup plan and a decision tree. You got an idea, you got it out there. Feels like some people think it ain't nuts. Okay, what are we going to do next? You got to take action and keep that going on. You got to have the stamina. Go ahead, Jen.
No, keep going. You're good.
Yeah, you got to curate. Say it again. Curate that crew. Never give up. Share.
I want to add one that it so much love to Demetria, and she knows she is my my person, but I want to add, when you are dealing with other people's dreams and you're dealing even with things that are your passion, there will never be 2 people that feel the exact same way about it. But what gets them there, what has them a part of it, is there's something that got them there and that they're a part of it. And so we've got to we've got to make sure the people around us understand what's important to us, but also we've got to be able to listen to what's important to them. Because to me, that's where dreams explode, is when you know what's important to me, Jesse. I know what's important to you. Oh crap, I'm going to pull this from you. You're going to pull this from me. And then together we're going to freaking write a book. And I mean, just like things that we never even thought about. And those are not individual dreams that you and I had walking into a conversation when we just got introduced to each other. So it's like being able to put them out there, everything you're saying. And then I've got to go, okay, I hear what Jesse's saying. He's hearing what I'm saying. We're going to feed these things together. And then what can we do? We don't even know. And so we want to make sure we're thinking about those things too.
Yes. Invite people in, right?
Yes.
Like Jen ain't kidding. Like this book coming out, or the book that's actually out, the Plumbered edition. It was just, I swear, like, I was like, we got a bunch of content. It's all transcribed. I wonder if we could turn it into a book. I emailed Princess Kim and said, hey, Kim, she's like, yeah, we could do that. Like, whoa, okay. Hey, Jen, guess what? We're writing a book. Like, and it could have been like, people could have said, like, this is stupid stuff. What are you talking about? Oh, look. Yep. It could have been an embarrassing experiment. But right?
That's still out. The jury's still out. We still don't know.
But it's out there.
Yes.
And so I want to show some love to the No BS tribe. And again, call out to everybody out there. Everybody in the comments, they're amazing human beings.
Yes.
Follow them.
Follow them.
Yes. And we got, let's see. So we got Yesenia. She says, we are No BS tribe fighters, aka warriors. We absolutely are. And I have tons more courage because of y'all. Like, totally. Like, I'm like, shoot, I got the tribe, fool. I'm gonna try this. Like, it'll be good. Will, #social Saturday squad. So he got to follow Will, connect with Will. You need to pick me up. You need a smile. You're like, oh my God, the world's on top of me. These chips are too big. And I need some motivation and positive. Will's your man. Will's going to hook you up. And then Pete showing us some love. Pete says, you guys make a great team to get people together. Yes. Thank you, Pete. And like, again, the secret code is we had to put ourselves out there. There's no guarantees. There was no guarantee that every live stream is going to be a win. There's no guarantee that people aren't like, we're blessed because we haven't had like the trolls show up and challenge everything. And what's your background and what research and what do you cite? Like, people are like, y'all just trust us.
And we're still, and own Jesse, we're still figuring this out. Like, we at no point do we like, okay, we're good now. Like, we're like, oh gosh, what's about to happen?
Yes. So we got the little banner running across. Next time we're going to be live streaming the No BS with Jen and Jess is going to be August 6th. James Gable says, dreams grow as you invite people in. Yes. And the tribe are the right people to invite in.
Yes.
Bruce, right? Real talk, unless you're a conspiracy theorist. July 20th, 1969, landed on the moon, right? Tons of dreams, brought a whole bunch of people together. Another perfect example of sharing a dream brings people together. Mm-hmm. Mr. Dennis Gillespie says, I love dreaming because sometimes dreaming of having something is better than not having it. Dreaming is a spiritual endeavor that provides hope, and keeping it alive keeps your hope alive. Mm-hmm. And Pete says, be honest. It makes a difference.
Yes.
Closing thought, Miss Jen?
Yeah, so I have 3, which is like, I'm going to try to get through them really fast. So number 1 is thank you to everybody, because we hit over 600 followers, which is a big deal. And again, so I want to challenge, if you know somebody that this is their space and this is their jam, like, invite them. Just send them the link to the No BS platform, tell them to join. And again, they'll get our content. Because in the next week or so, there'll be some additional links out there for an additional live stream that will be solely focused on the book launch and everything that goes along with that. So that's the second one, is making sure, keep following our content, invite people in. And my last closing thought is just imagine this and think about this. And this is what, to me, what everything that we've talked about today in this tribe does for me, is I'm standing on the edge and I'm not sure what I'm about to jump into. and I am scared to death. And I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm going to fail. I'm going to win. I'm going to fly. I have no idea. And that is a lot. And then one person comes up and grabs my hand and says, we got this. I'm jumping with you. And then another person comes up and grabs my hand and says, I'm jumping with you too. And then we just people keep grabbing hands, and we're all going to do this together. That fear, that what if, that just everything that keeps us from doing something slowly goes down. And then I'm looking around going, we got this. We'll figure it out. And that is like what is happening in this tribe. Okay, your turn.
I ain't saying nothing, girl. Like, mic drop. That's what I'm going to say. Mic drop. Love you all. The link to the after party is in the comments. I did it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube because I'm a social media mogul and I know how to do all that. I'm joking. It's really not that fancy. But would love to connect with y'all. And the after party, like Jen said, keep an eye out. I'm just going to throw it out there. This week, there may be a pop-up about another off sequence live stream. So keep an eye out. And love y'all very much. It was amazing today, and we'll see y'all again soon. Peace. Yeah.